Good day, everyone. We are Team B.A.T, and we are here today to present John's story with an interdisciplinary approach to the perspectives of the self. We have here the members of the group, and we will begin shortly.
In discussing the story of John, let us start off first by telling his story. John is an exceptional student. Being a student in De La Salle University and having a math major, he always strives to become better in many ways that he can be, to become a better individual and uphold the Christian values. Because of his talent, he was able to avail the Star Scholarship, which allows him to study at an expensive private university like La Salle, and also to join competitions. However, these talents, skills, and intelligence led his father to put too much pressure onto him and push him to achieve more than what he has and pushing him always to become the first. This kind of mentality led him to become distant with his father and maybe even develop some kind of resentment. He's actually much closer to his mother who died of leukemia. One day, he won an inter-school math competition which has a cash prize of 5,000 pesos and went on to celebrate and go drinking with his close friends. After celebrating, they went to a drugstore on their way home because a friend who needs medicine for his asthma. John saw a donation box and donated all the cash prize money instead of taking it home. Back home, he then lied about the money to his father. He told him that he never even won in the first place and pretended that he never donated the cash prize money. And so, to the next part is we need explaining John's behavior. Why did John do that? Well, John and his friends had been drinking all night, but not enough to make them unaware of their actions. Let's consider that he was drunk, that he was intoxicated. And being intoxicated makes a person prone to the wrong decisions. John's truest personality simply just manifested when he donated all his cash prize money instead of giving it to his father, whom he is distant and whom he has resentments. But John probably has that subconscious thought of not even giving it to his father in the first place. Actually, just not about giving it, but he didn't even tell him that he won. He even lied about it. That's why he donated all the money when he was intoxicated. However, it does not necessarily mean that it is the best decision. We all tend to show our truest personalities when we are intoxicated. Like our subconscious thoughts manifest. And probably John did that out of his own goodwill because it was in his heart that he didn't really want to tell his father, to give it to his father. And so his deepest personalities pushed him to just donate the money and lie about it.
In evaluating Jen's actions, after winning the inter-school math competition, he celebrated with his three close friends. For this course of action, it can be a way for him to express the happiness he felt after the triumph. However, it seems that he spent too much of his money, given that they went to a pizza restaurant and they drank alcoholic beverages afterwards. In our opinion, as it was stated that they have limited funds, maybe he has to consider how much money he spent on something. For the part that John gave all his remaining money to provide financial support to Anna, as it was mentioned in the text, John is part of the organizations that aim to help others. With this, he intends to care for the less fortunate people. However, in this case, he was drunk during that time to commit those impulsive actions. Thus, it is questionable why he supplied all the money he had. But we also have to think about his connection with his mother, who died because of leukemia. Maybe he remembered the time when his mother suffered from this condition. Lastly, when his father asked for the results of the competition, he lied about it. In this part, If his father knows the truth, then maybe John will be asked about the cash prize he received from the competition. What would be our decision if we were in his shoes? First of all, after winning the competition, he has to consider the financial status of the family before treating his close friends. In our opinion, that amount of money he received can contribute to the needs of the family. Secondly, it is not necessary to supply all his remaining money in helping other people. We cannot say that helping others is bad, but we have to think about the benefits of not giving too much. Lastly, if we committed such actions like what John did, then maybe we would not tell the truth about the results of the competition. Things could be worse if we admitted those actions, which can affect the relationship with the father.
In order to answer the question, how do you explain John's behavior and what does his behavior tell about himself, I will give you 3 instances of John's behavior in his action. Number 1, celebrating with his friends since he won the math competition. This part of John's behavior can be explained with the use of the sociological perspective of the self. This perspective defines the self as socially constructed, shaped by interactions with different people. John, being an outgoing person since he likes volunteering in Cosca, shapes himself by being socially active. This behavior of John paved the way for being close to his friends and made him a good person to them. This is a good enough reason to explain why John celebrated his triumph with his friends after winning the competition. Number 2. John's next course of action is donating all the money for Anna, a leukemia patient. In this part, John's behavior is a bit indecisive, maybe because he is already under the influence of alcohol. But to add, it can be because of his experiences that can explain his behavior. According to the psychological perspective of the self is defined by these concepts: self-recognition, transactional experiences, and expressing oneself. John is in fond of his mother, but she died of leukemia. This experience of John can be the main root of his behavior since Anna is also a leukemia patient and John relates Anna to his mother. In addition to that, John, being a good person since he loves volunteer works, can also be one of the factors that affect his behavior. Number 3. Lying to his father that he did not win. John's decision here is greatly affected by his relationship with his father. His father is giving a lot of pressure to John in terms of his academic performance, and that is the reason why he is distant to him. Given that John is distant to his father, gives a good explanation on why John told a lie that he did not win. This behavior of John is also affected by his experiences. These experiences can be the death of his mother and his father's constant pressure on him. But at the end of his behavior, John chose to consider his love with his mother rather than the pressure that his father gives. For letter B, the question is, how did you come up with this explanation? All of John's behavior and course of action is greatly influenced by his experiences. It can be his experiences in family, school, friends, and even family. Experience is one of the factors that defines the self in psychological perspective. The death of his mother can be the root cause of why he donated all the money for Anna. Being in love with volunteer work made him a very outgoing person, that is why he is considered as a good friend and a relative. And receiving a lot of pressure from his father made John very distant to him, that is why he told a lie at the end of the story.
What information about John do you think would be critical in understanding his behavior? To answer this, there are different ways to understand John's behavior, based on philosophy, psychology, sociology, anthropology, and/or Oriental perspective. To understand John's behavior philosophically, it is important to consider the information that John has a good relationship with his family except for his father, as well as John's view on his father's expectations on him. Philosophy tells us that one's identity is characterized by thoughts, behaviors, memories, and actions. Part of John's identity is his fondness for his mother, which left a big impact on him after she died from leukemia. This became his driving force to donate the money he received from the competition, as he was still influenced by his memories of her mom. This action of his may be impulsive, but we couldn't deny the fact that John embraced his memories of her mother to help a leukemia patient, in which his reflective consciousness was triggered. As for John's view on his father's expectation, he described it as a pressure on him, especially in competitions. John could have hesitated on donating the money, but considering his thoughts about the expectations from his father, there's no surprise to his actions. Even though the money would help his family, his thoughts of his father and memories of his mother pushed him to instead donate the money for the leukemia patient. Moving on to psychology, it is important to know the information that John generally appreciates the action of helping other people and John's living condition or circumstance in terms of academics. In psychology, selecting certain courses of action could create an impact for own self, and this is a way to express oneself. For John's case, we could claim that John expresses himself to others by doing volunteer works and doing things that would help other people. He is a member of COSCA, which provides community service to the less fortunate people. Considering this as part of his self, his action of donating to the patient is understandable. John is indeed influenced by alcohol at that time, but psychology claims that every action a person takes is based on his or her identity. On the other hand, John's father is pushing him to always aim for the top, to the point where his father becomes disappointed when he doesn't win first place in a competition. This living circumstance by John could be considered in understanding his behavior, since such a situation could affect one's way of thinking. In sociology, the self is defined as the perception of who we are concerning others. Or this could also mean relating ourselves to the circumstance of other people. It is vital to keep in mind that John's mother died of leukemia, and this is the same sickness indicated on the donation box. In such circumstance, John was able to relate what happened to his mom to the leukemia patient, which pushed him to donate. Also, John chose to celebrate with his friends, which could signify that he is more comfortable being with them compared to celebrating with his family. Anthropologically speaking, the self is heavily influenced by specific roles, including within the family. It is important to know that John is a scholar similar to his father, which greatly helps them as they are not financially stable. Being a scholar and academically good has been part of John's identity, as this is part of his role in helping his family. He continued attending competitions to fulfill his role, even if there came circumstances where the father was disappointed with the result. Lastly, for the Oriental perspective, it was mentioned that a person is composed of feelings, perceptions, impulses, and others. With this, it is important to take note of the information that John celebrated with his close friends, in which one of them is his crush, and John being close to his mother. Considering that John has a crush on one of his close friends, his feelings could have affected his decision making, which led him to treat them in a pizza restaurant along with alcoholic beverages. This is John's way of expressing his feelings and perception to his friends. Moving on, John was close to his mother, making her death impactful, and such emotional experience pushes one for the decision to make. In this case, since there is an emotional attachment between John and his mother, he impulsively decided that donating the money is the best choice for him to make. What are some ways on how John can achieve happiness? For me, I think that the actions that John took were already for his happiness. Donating the money exemplifies his advocacy of helping the less fortunate, and it also has an additional meaning to him. John was close to his mother who died from leukemia, and it's an additional factor that John would be able to help other patients with the same sickness as his mother had. Her mother died of it, so it would be a major impact if the patient survives leukemia because of the help and donations of other people, including him. As for other ways for John to achieve happiness, I think they would be 1. Continue doing volunteer works and generally helping the less fortunate people. This is a way to keep on satisfying John's advocacy, and he would truly appreciate such actions of his as he helps more people. 2. Fix his relationship with his family, especially with his father. It would be better to improve his relationship with his father, since that's the main reason why he's not comfortable with his family. In the first place, he wouldn't even need to lie about the competition if he was in good terms with his father. 3. Deepening his relationship with his friends. At times of crisis or blessing, his friends would always be on his side. Also, with John's current situation, he is comfortable when he's with his friends, so it would be more meaningful to treasure his relationship with them.
The complexity and simplicity of the concept of the self can be explained in John's story through two possible scenarios. One is doing the act when he was intoxicated, and the other is doing the act if he was sober. John's story can reflect the simplicity of the self when he donated all his prize money under the influence of alcohol. Being intoxicated made him think decisively without wavering. It made him ignore the other factors in his life and let the little John inside him think for him. This little John shows his pure self, who is longing for her mother who died earlier than expected because of his disease, same as Anna's. Anna did trigger his deep thoughts and emotions, which basically speak about his simple self. On the other hand, if John was sober when he donated the money, the self here will be discussed in a more complex analysis. First, John has been exposed to service and charity work since he is a member of COSCA, so donating the money will speak about himself as a charitable person. Second, John was with her crush during that time, so his actions may be influenced by the presence of his crush. If he was sober, donating the money may mean that he wants to express his crush because of his intimate feelings towards her. This scenario may speak about himself through his emotional preoccupation. Last is that relationship with his father may be the reason for his two independent possible actions. First is donating the money and lying about it. If he was sober, it is possible that one of the reasons why he donated all the money is because he hated his father so much that he does not have any intention to give the money to his father. On the other hand, it is possible that he may lie about donating all the money because he does not want his father to be disappointed in him. Overall, having all these factors to consider in evaluating his action, if he was sober, can speak about the complexity of John's self. In summary, the reflection of complexity and simplicity of the concept of the self in John's story is depicted by real events and possible alternate situations of the story. It is simple to describe John's self when he is under the influence of alcohol, but it will be complicated to explain his self if he was fully aware and conscious with his actions, because there are a lot of factors to consider. In summary, John's story has shown real-life applications of the concept of the self, but at the end of the day, what happened to John was brought by his self. And that's all for our presentation. Thank you, everyone.